Although the Somali-speaking peoples of the Horn of Africa all generally follow the belief that they descend from a single man named Soomal, this is a very interesting article that Rashid Abdi put me onto in Quillette, and talking about the Somalis. The Northerners, called the Isaac, recently have managed, alongside other clans, to establish a near-functioning democracy in northern Somaliland. To the south is the land of the Darod clans, where the civil war has been raging since the 1990s. These Darod clans, which are still largely nomadic, gradually have been expanding southwestwards in search of new grazing lands to occupy with their herds of camels, cattle, sheep and goats. Until the late 1890s, they were barely present in what came to be called Kenya's northern frontier, a vast arid savanna, woodland and desert that stretched west to the Sudan and north to Ethiopia. However, by the time the British established their authority over all of the Kenyan colony, and especially by the end of World War II, the Darod clans increased their numbers in the northeast of Kenya in what is now called Wajir, Mandera and Garissa districts. These areas now have a growing and sometimes dominant Somali presence. In 1964, the Somali of northern Kenya fought a 10-year on-and-off guerrilla war against the newly established Kenya government in hopes of linking their territory with the newly independent state of Somalia. This strategy did not work. From the late 19th century onwards, the British bypassed the Swahili, sending in missionaries from the coast to convert the Bantu and Nilotic-speaking tribes of the Kenyan interior, these being former victims of the coastal slave trade. The modernizing elites of these groups then fought with the British during World War I and World War II and demanded independence after the war, which they got. From an ethnographic point of view, what this means is that the descendants of the non-Muslim tribes that formerly provided the coastal Muslims with slaves were now in charge of the government and the economy of Kenya, making Muslims to the northeast and on the coast a political minority within the region. Then talking about after 9/11, the southwest expansion of the Somali Darod into Kenyan territory took on a new religious dimension. The young men who man al-Shabaab and the youngish imams who write their fatwas, the religious rulings that encourage them to bomb infidel hotels in Nairobi and other places, have broken away from their elders. Their violent nihilism isn't much different in character from that of rampaging Congolese militias, except they perform their violence under cover of jihad. But whatever the pretext, the campaign can be classified as former Governor of Tanganyika and Zanzibar, Sir Richard Turnbull, called it the Darod invasion, northeastern Kenya. It's a different perspective to one I've read before, I must admit.